Hello ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be doing a new drawing and we're going to be drawing a chameleon. It's our little friend the chameleon. He looks happy. So you're going to need a piece of paper, a pencil, and an eraser. Our chameleon, a little bit longer than he is tall, so you're going to want to turn your paper horizontal. I'm going to start with his head, and I'm going to put his head right about there. So right side of the paper, a little bit closer to the top than it is the bottom. So sort of up in this corner. We are going to put a big bulgy eye on top of that head, so you don't want to go all the way to the top of the paper with your head. So I'm going to create a shape. I'm going to make a football shape, right? Or like an eye. It's going to be thinner in the corners and wider in the middle. Okay? I'm going to go up and around and down, and then down. Kind of like a big fat football. You're going to want to draw this lightly because we do have to erase a good part of it. So, should always be drawing lightly, which you know. But nice and lightly, draw a big fat football. And just for your information, you can make this as close to the end as you want because nothing is going to go to the right of that football. We do need a little bit of room up there, so you can see I left a little bit of room at the top for myself. Now, how big should your football be? Well, if I look at my piece of paper in relation to the football, it's like I would say almost 3 footballs should be able to fit across your paper, and you should have no problem fitting the rest of the body. Of course, I'm going to zip right along, but you can pause it and rewind it as often as you need to. Right in the middle of that football, I'm going to draw his mouth. So I'm going to start over here at the corner, and I'm going to go over, and then curl down a little, and curl up. And we'll put a little at the end. So so now it's a smiling football, or a smiling eyeball, whatever. Kind of looks like that plant in that movie. You can kind of create whatever kind of smile you want. Underneath that smile, I'm going to make a lip. Just kind of a small little detail. That's his bottom lip sticking out. Just above that, we'll do a little bit of a nostril. It's kind of like a upside down raindrop kind of a shape. Right about in the middle of my head, I'll stop calling it a football now, it's a head. Right in the middle of my head, half in the head, half outside the head is going to be that big chameleon eye. So I'm going to draw a nice big circle. That's pretty much, well, mine's a little bit more on the head than off. You can go 50% on, 50% off if you want. Up to you. Before I go any further, I'm going to do a little erasing. So I'm going to erase not only the line that goes through my eye, but I'm also going to erase a little bit of the end of my football. For now, we'll just erase that much. We might erase a little bit more in a sec once we do our body, but for now, we'll just take a little piece off the end of that ball. That's why we wanted to draw lightly, because we're doing a lot of erasing. I'm going to do his pupil. Now, geckos can a lot of lizards can do that, but they can move their eyes independently. So instead of having him look forward, I'm going to have him look behind himself. So I'm going to draw a nice big pupil. And then I'm going to do a reflection. You will not be coloring this in yet because you're doing this in pencil, but eventually you'll color that in black And you can leave, my reflection looks very small on the iPad, but you can leave that reflection. It's always nice to leave the reflection bigger inside the eye because you can always make it smaller. If you Sharpie it, you can't take the Sharpie off. So, we're going to do a little bit of an edge, a little bit of an eyelid, kind of little skin going around the eye. So we're going to start just inside the head and finish just inside the head. And we're going to kind of do a big edge around it. And you can see that it goes inside the head. And of course, I'm going to erase that little line right there and that little line. You would not be able to see. He looks happy. He looks happy. He's got an eye on the other side, of course. We can only see the back side of it, so we don't have to draw the eyeball, we don't have to draw the pupil, just a little bump. I'm going to draw a bump that starts about the middle of this eye, comes down, and touches the head. And that's really all I have to do. It's on the other side. So I don't need anything more than that. That pretty much does it for the head. We're going to do the body. Once again, draw it lightly because you might want to make it thinner, wider. We're going to have to erase it because we're putting legs over top of it. So draw lightly. Please, just draw lightly. Okay. I'm going to start with his back. It's very round. And I'm going to begin right about here. Right about just a little bit up on the eye from his neck, I guess you would call it. So that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to go up almost to the top of my paper. I'm going to come up and curve around and right about to here. A nice big curved line. I can go as high as I want because there's nothing higher than that. That's about where his body ends and his tail begins. So it's a nice big round curve. There are really no flat spots as long as you're keeping it round. And you can get as close to the end of the, I'm going to have a little bit of a branch. He's going to be sitting on a branch like in the picture. But I don't need to draw anything else beyond the back of him. So you can go as far as you want. Now the bottom, I'm going to start right about here. So you can see that I've got a little bit of a line here and here, just a small little detail, just to make it look like the head is connected to the body, but it's kind of like one piece. So you're going to want to draw this line lightly because we've got legs that are going to go right in front of it. But I'm going to go slightly downhill, slightly uphill. And before I get to here, I'm going to stop because now the distance between these two lines are how wide his tail starts. It's going to obviously get thinner as we go. So I'm going to stop right about there. Okay. We might as well keep going around and doing the tail, and then we'll do the legs afterwards. It's a big curly tail. Curly, you can make it curl around as much as you want. I think I'm going to start with the outside, I guess. So I'm going to continue this line. And I'm going to go down. You can go as low as you want. And curl up. Actually, you know what? I'm going to stop there for now because I don't want to make it too confusing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the other side of the tail. It's wider when it starts. it's going to slowly get a little bit thinner as we go. So now you can do as many curly cues as you want, and this is where it gets a little confusing. If it's confusing to you, you can simply do this and just keep following them around together, or you can just do the one complete line. So you can curl around. In the picture, I think they do one more little curl. If you want to keep making it curl around, it does get a little confusing, but if you want to add more tail, you can. Front leg, back leg. I'm going to start inside the body, about there and there. And I'm going to come back a little bit toward his elbow. My elbow is just inside the body, doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to go on an angle. That's about where his wrist is going to be. So it's just zigzag, a little wider at the top, thinner at the wrist there. Now, chameleons look like they're like wearing little mittens. They don't have like little toes, little fingers and toes. They kind of have like a little mitten. So that makes it easy for us, easy to draw. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the bottom part of his little mitten here. And then the top is kind of like just a thumb. And I'm going to make them open because he's holding on to a branch. Okay. It's like a letter, like a bubble letter Y kind of. I'm going to erase this part right here, obviously. You will not be able to see that. He is not invisible or transparent. Back leg. Most animals, that back leg is wider. So I'm going to start, I guess, right about there. Not quite as far back as the tail in a little bit. And I'm going to go forward. I'm going to go up and around and down. So kind of like a number 7 sort of. That's that back leg. Up, curls around. No really sharp points to it at all. And then this side, a little easier. Just a slightly curved line. And I'm going to do another little mitten for his back leg. There's the top finger or toe, whatever you want to call it. That one's open a little bit wider, but it's totally your call. And then I'm going to erase that line that goes through the leg. He is sitting on a branch, and that's kind of why I made his toes open. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my branch right here. So it looks like he's holding on to that branch. And you can make that branch do whatever you want it to do. You can have it come out. You have little leaves sticking off it. You can put little texture lines in the bark. Whatever you want to do. Now, your branch might not be going where my branch is going. My branch has to go where his feet are because he's holding on to it. So I have to make my branch here because that's where my open little toes are. So I'm going to go right to there and right underneath that little thumb, I'm going to call it. And then you can just have it go behind him and go wherever you want. You can do the side of a tree. Whatever you want to do with that branch. Whatever you want to do. Okay. Now we're going to do a couple little details on him. just because he's a little plain at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make kind of like this, in the picture they kind of have this wiggly little pattern. So it's kind of like a triangle, but it's a wiggly triangle. Starts wide at the top, and you can do as many of these. I'm going to kind of space them out. I don't want to do a million of them. But you can do as many of these as you want. And then we'll kind of have them go right around him. Okay. I'm going to have mine get a little bit smaller as they go because his body and tail are getting smaller. And you can have these go all the way around. I'm going to stop them right there. That's what they do in the picture. I'll follow my little cartoon. And there's our little gecko. Never drawn him before, so it was interesting. Now, why did I call him a gecko? He's a chameleon, right? I said chameleon. Now, with chameleons, chameleons are lizards, obviously. Some chameleons, not all, but some chameleons can change color. So even though he is green in the picture, feel free to color him however you want to color him. Get crazy. Make him 100 different colors. Do whatever you want. Maybe there's something behind him and he needs to change that color or whatever. Maybe you want to camouflage him in, whatever you want to do. So you can find a chameleon online and follow that color scheme, or you can just make him whatever color you want. But whatever color you make him, make sure you send me a picture of the finished product, because I definitely want to check him out. Okay? And that's it. Another drawing. Done. Good job, guys. I will see you soon. I miss you. Bye.